Hi there, I'm Melinda Houston. I'm a mental performance consultant and a stress resiliency expert. And I'm going to talk to you briefly about the power of perception when it comes to managing stress. The typical way that we process stress is that we have a demand or a set of demands, and it just automatically leads us to a particular response. We might have a bunch of deadlines coming up. We might take a look at our weekly schedule and notice that there is a meeting on there with someone that really rubs us the wrong way. We might realize that the next morning, the first thing that we have to do is sit through a really long webinar, and that's not the way that we want to start our day. And then that brings us to a response. We might feel frustrated. We might start to ruminate with negative thoughts. We might be angry with our boss for laying all of this stuff on our lap. Or we start comparing ourselves to other people. I have so much more on my plate than everyone else here. And it's as though we're at the mercy of our demands and can be a very powerless feeling. But just because you have a demand doesn't mean that you have no control over how you respond to it. If you insert perception in between demand and response, it can be a game changer with how we manage stress. Consider how much energy you spend trying to change things that you have no control over. And instead, you can choose to perceive demands in a way that doesn't leave us feeling so negative and defeated. In my research with elite level coaches, many of them actually listed out the exact same demands. They talked about things like amount of time that they had to spend in the recruiting process. They talked about dealing with 18-year-olds. The media came up frequently. But the coaches who didn't experience the negative effects of stress were the ones who perceived their demands as enjoyable, or they used the power of perception to recognize the resources that could help them manage their demands in a productive way. For example, some of them recognized that as stressful as 18-year-olds could be, that they actually got into the profession of coaching to have an impact on young people and to see them grow. Even though recruiting certainly was demanding and sometimes even resulted in a disappointing outcome, they realized that they really liked selling their program and that it was a very critical part of their job. They weren't pretending the demands didn't exist. They were just choosing to perceive them in a way that better served them. It was not as easy to perceive the media as something that they enjoyed, but they chose to shift their energy towards taking control of their thought process and emotions in order to not allow the media to get into their inner world or their bubble, as they called it. We often take a challenging situation and turn it into something heavier than it needs to be. But consider how different your day might feel if you approach it with a what do I get to do today mindset versus a what do I have to do today. Might not get rid of your demands, but it certainly can alter your response to them.